Hi, I'm Robert Fitzgerald. I'm the Age Discrimination Commissioner with the Australian Human Rights Commission, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Ageing. These series are about having conversations with some of Australia's major thought leaders, particularly in relation to the ageing of Australia, the issues that are important to older people, and the way in which we as a society need to respond to those challenges and opportunities for older people to live meaningful lives. We hope that the issues that we're raising are important to you, and we hope that you can work with us on trying to advance answers to those challenging issues. And today we're delighted to be joined by Ines Willox, the CEO of the AI Group, one of Australia's leading industrial relations groups. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
So the AI Group's been around a long time, does a lot of great work, but you've got this notion of improving this or increasing the success of business to benefit all Australians. What do you think that means in terms of particularly older people and older workers?
Well, Robert, the Australian Industry Group, or AI Group as we know, and has been around in one form or another now for just over 150 years. So that's pretty old itself.
It is.
But we've been around, and we started in Sydney with a couple of iron workers and their foundries, and then it's expanded from there through the generations now to cover a whole big wide range of the economy, everything from manufacturing now through to the care sector, including the aged care sector, childcare, disability, and everything in between. So we cover a big, wide range of the economy. Industrial relations is at our core. It's not all that we do, but it's very much at our core. So we're involved in a lot of the conversations about how the workforce is made up and how the workforce operates. And what we talk about as an organisation is how we can make Australia a better place. How can Australian industry, and that broad swathe of industry, make Australia more prosperous and Australians more prosperous in a sustainable way? And prosperity will only come if we do drive a whole range of things, including productivity and sort of really strong, sustainable economic outcomes for us all. So we work across the board. We work a lot with unions, we work with government, we work with regulators to try to get the best outcome. So we're quite moderate. We like to think we're quite moderate in the way we approach things, but sometimes we have to be forceful to get outcomes which we think in the long run, and we always think of the long run, will make Australia a better place.
I want to come to some of the issues, particularly around older Australians who want to enter the workforce, mature age workers, but your own reflections about yourself and ageing. How do you approach ageing for yourself?
I feel it every day. I'm sort of now getting to an age where, as I like to say, I'm closer to the end of work than at the start. I'm way closer towards the end, and both within my own mind and with my wife in particular, we're having conversations around, well, what does the next bit of life look like? But ageing is, I think, a process. The old saying, if you knew now at an age what you could, if you had known that at 25, you would be a much better person and in a much better place. So I think ageing necessarily gives you wisdom, gives you a whole lot of patience, but most importantly, it gives you perspective. I recently did a whole range of testing just as part of an exercise with our leadership group at the Australian Industry Group, and the number one strength that I apparently have is context. Right. I always want the context, what happens and why. Right. And I think as you get older, that becomes more important.
Well, talking about context, the demography of Australia is changing. The economic need to have older workers, mature age workers, is growing. And of course, older people do want to continue to work a little bit longer. But what are the sort of challenges do you think that's posing for the Australian economy and for the industries that you represent?
So you've got to bear with me a little bit on this question, because we talk about our current position and our future in a series of Ds, the letter D. So there is disruption. We live in an increasingly disrupted world. Diversification. Business is looking to diversify products and markets. Decarbonisation, the big issue. We're trying to be a cleaner economy. Debt. We live in a time of debt, of really strong debt, and demography. Because demography matters. It
Sure.
always has and it always will. There have been books written, and many books written about demography. But the fact is that we are both ageing and shifting how we live and where we live. We're living longer. You know, we have recently seen the retirement age start to inch up, and we have to do two things. We have to take account as a workforce that a national workforce, that we are getting older, and we have to provision for that older cohort of the population, which is growing. So it is shifting how we work in terms of trying to keep people in the workplace for longer, which, to be quite blunt, Robert, business overall, sweeping generality, hasn't been great at in the past. There has been this notion of if you reach 50, perhaps that's it. You know, if your job goes, you're made redundant or your place of work shuts down, getting another job has been incredibly difficult.
Sure.
So we're in the middle, I think, of a major national mindset shift here, which is driven by necessity as well as by common sense. We have to find ways to keep, I don't like to say older, I like to say more mature workers in the workplace. Now, there's a couple of ways that some of the trends are really helping with this. Work from home, or the notion of hybrid work or blended work is really helpful. And the fact that we have now that greater connectivity. So part of the challenge we have is that as we're getting older, the other D that I didn't mention because I wanted to link them in together, demography and digitalisation, is that we have to retrain, reskill and get the older workforce in a better position to participate.
Do you think your employer groups, the groups that you represent, have come to the realisation that they need to be employing older workers into the future? Has that sort of dawned on them?
It's sinking in. It's sinking in. The realisation is there. It's now how do we do it? And that's where the digitalisation is important. So work from home, you could say, is part of digitalisation, but 80% of the jobs of now and of the future have a digital component. That doesn't mean we all have to become computer coders and IT sort of geeks or experts, but there has to be some digital awareness. And so we have to go through a process of assisting people to retrain. And that's where that either in-work learning, work integrated learning as it's known, or external service providers are going to be so important to helping people to reskill. And that's where the big challenge lies. So yes, business is adapting to the idea that we have to do this. It's now how best do we equip people to participate in this.
Okay, thanks very much, Innes, that's terrific. And again, look forward to seeing you on further episodes of Let's Talk Ageing. And as I always say, age well.